This demonstration is to discuss email broadcasting and beyond the website and beyond what people can see when they log in and be delivered the right content, we might want to push out to users information at some frequency. So within the client console, if you click on broadcast, you'll see that we have a couple samples set up here. We'll take a look at this one. We might have so each email or each record here would represent a different conditional rule, meaning this email that's being sent out to everyone is dynamic, meaning it might only send out to them when there's something new to send. It will perhaps be scheduled on a weekly or monthly basis. It might even be an alert, which means that someone has made a very specific request to say, look, only alert me when this thing arrives or that thing arrives. So this means that you don't have to go and create a new record each time you want to send an email. You set up a conditional message and then set the conditions on it, and that's what we're going to discuss right now. So here we are. This is an email we've had set up. We may need to send a test email. Oftentimes you'll notice that if you're about to send an email broadcast, you might want to see what it looks like within your own email system. You might want to send yourself a test email. So we have the option of never send it, which means, don't send it at all. We're just working on this thing. Let's send ourselves a test when we're ready. We could send one right now. So on demand, we're going to agree to that. And once I do, it's going to send immediately. Or we might want to schedule that email. So there's a lot of different things that could occur here. For right now, I'm just going to say never. Now, notification. You might want to be notified or send notification to someone else that this email has been sent. And you might want to say, hey, Bob, just to let you know the email. So you might be sending this based on a request from the director of marketing or something. You want to give them a copy or a notification of that. Additionally, we can also say which audience groups do we want to send an email to. And again, this is one of the benefits of Centralpoint, where we can target very specific audiences. We only want to send an email to those in Hong Kong, in China. Additionally, we might only want to send these to the finance directors found in Hong Kong, just as an example. Or we might want to send it to a number of different groups. The credit applications department and finance directors both receive it only within China, or we could send an email to everyone. So like the rest of Centralpoint, that's what we see here. Now, we can also take advantage of this. You might have this set up to go right now, and you might want to hold the record. And again, that'll attain the same thing as not sending it, so it won't release the record, and we'll just hit never. Okay, so agree to the terms of use. All right, what this is in compliance with the Can-Spam Act. We ask that you have to agree to this before sending an email, because we need to ensure that the list of people you're sending an email to have, in fact, given you legal consent to receive an email. And this prevents you from importing in, all sorts of members, all sorts of users, and then, email broadcasting out to them without their consent, which is not allowed, and we strongly recommend against that. Okay, so this is just basic rules, who's receiving this stuff. Now, we may want to further refine the recipient list, and I want to talk about this little feature here. We call it a member filter builder. Now, assuming that we're collecting very intrinsic data about users, and we have questionnaires for them on the site that say, how much do you earn, and what is your job title, and what is your race, or what is your age, whatever the case is, assuming we have that demographic information in our member database, assuming that we've modified the member record to collect that sort of thing, we might say something like this: gender equals male, and age is greater than 40, and title equals marketing, for an example. So we could just keep going here. This could get ridiculous. So I'm going to go ahead and build this filter, and you'll see that in addition to the finance directors in China or Hong Kong, or perhaps I've selected everyone in my community, but we know that because we're adding this filter, it will only go to those members who are male, over 40, in marketing. So this allows you to get very targeted in who you want to push these emails out to. We might want to create a warning for ourselves, a custom filter warning, meaning if there is no one who matches this, or if there is some problem in reaching this collection, we might want to include that sort of thing. Okay, on to the next. Oh, one other step. The source, as you see by default, is pulling from our members module. This is found over here. In our members module, this is where we contain all these users, and if they are male, and if they are in marketing, and if they are over 40. By the way, these fields, if you've ever been curious, can be modified. And we're able to go into the module configuration record. You can add, 150 fields to this module if you want to. And the benefit to that, especially for email broadcasting, is that we can now get very targeted in all that extra demographic information. But I wanted to talk about this because sometimes the source is not Centralpoint that we're sending against. Sometimes it might be some other data set within the site that we manage here within Centralpoint. It might be a staff directory module, or it might be a module that's not, the standard members module. We never know where you might be storing your user information, so we offer that as an option. Another feature is we might be sending emails against a list of people which do not live in Centralpoint at all. Meaning this might be a list of people in your CRM system, prospective clients, partners, whoever it might be. And this is used actually quite frequently because we have this single sign-on and we're authenticating against some other source. Well, we don't want to do this import of members just for email broadcast, although you could. We don't want to create that duplication. So in line with that authentication, we might want to reach out to your other system and validate, what are the fields we're looking for to grab their name or their email. And again, when you're doing that connection, there's not a tremendous amount we can do in terms of dynamic content. We can personalize it, we can send it to the right emails, but we do become a little bit limited in terms of dynamically serving the right content within the message, which I'll get to in just a moment. So that's important. Okay, the next step is the message itself. Now, you'll notice that currently by default, it'll offer you an email message. And here we see kind of the HTML layout of that email, which you can format any way you want. We just have a sample here set up. We can also send out text messages. And in the case of text messages, we might have a from name and a reply to name, very basic information. We do not have the HTML body anymore. It's just very simple stuff that's going to go out to those people. Normally what we see are email broadcasts, and we want to define the from address. Who is it coming from? So this would be the reply address of the email they're going to receive. What is the name of you? It could be Bob Smith. It could be, in this case, Centralpoint. Do we want to monitor bounce back emails? Now this is, important because as you're sending out emails, you want to track how many of these emails are bad and how many times, does it bounce back, and what do we do in that condition? 5 bounce backs or 3 bounce backs might mean it's official, this email is no longer valid. So all of the POP3 server, username, password, all the information you need here can be managed. Finally, we might want to embed HTML images. So do we want to embed the images within the email, or do we want to require that those images be loaded by them? And this is kind of an interesting little feature because this means that when you send out the email, all of the images will automatically resolve within the email message without the user having to approve the contents. You want to be a little cautious using this only because some browsers might give this a hard time. But either way, I think the safest bet is to select no by default and give the user the option as to whether they want to download these images. Although you can, let's just look at this a little bit differently. This is a little bit more aggressive, yes. No is more conservative. And our recommendation is always err on the conservative side of things, especially when it comes to email broadcast. Even if you have their consent, and and they're opted in to receive this stuff, you want to be conscious of their space and what their options as to what they want to look at. Okay. The unsubscribe notification. Do we want to be notified of unsubscribes? Likely we do. And where would that message go? And that way you can kind of record in your own email all the people who've unsubscribed from the message. Finally, what type of content? Well, here we see HTML, and we've just created some basic sales company update. And I want to point out that you might also want to do a screen scrape. This is very interesting, rarely used, but this is a feature that allows us to define a place, let's say a report. Let's say you have a web page somewhere that has a report on it. And you want to, every month, go to that report, scrape the screen, fill the email with that data, and then deliver it to that person. This is a great feature, especially when we're talking about third-party applications, or we need to go grab some data from somewhere else and deliver it. Very neat feature. Typically, people are sending out HTML emails. Now, this is the subject line, and I want to point out that even within the subject line, we can support personalization. So, that helps for the open rate of these emails because they see immediately in the subject line, Dear John, here's your report, and they'll open it up. Now, within the body of the email, we can have a lot of fun. We can create these dynamic references like first name, start date. So basically, within these brackets, we're able to call out to any field from the members module or from the bind that we have with your CRM or what have you, so that we can now personalize this experience. Additionally, you will see this little script here, which looks a little cryptic, but if you take a look at our data sources help file, not so cryptic, that is a reference to an object. So for an example, this inclusion in the email might render something that looks like this, a live chart, a graph, a grid view, a list of records which this individual needs to approve, So what's great is we have the ability of gleaning a lot of this dynamic information from Centralpoint and personalizing the delivery. Now, even better is that because this email is going to, let's say, 100 different people, everyone might get a different result. Meaning, within the data source, the original call to that data, we might be checking the user's ID, which means here are a list of documents you need to review. Well, because this is intelligent and it's being assembled and served uniquely, everyone will have a different list for their review, for an example, if they're all assigned to a different list. So this becomes a very powerful tool because normally with email broadcasting systems, you have to manage your campaign separate from your content. And the results from the Oracle system have nothing to do with the email going out, so you have to kind of recreate that information every time you want to reach these people. And with Centralpoint, the reason we've married the content management with the email broadcasting is that it's all part of the same family. So we now can just skim and glean and scrape whatever we need to and deliver it when we need to. Also within this filtration, we can set up certain conditions, like even though it's set to go monthly, if there's nothing new in the body, let's say, of what's being sent, it might not send at all. There's no sense repeating the same message if there's no new content that's been added. So when you think of that whole live email, kind of syndicated email, it's intelligent in that regard. Okay, the opt-in, opt-out. Here you see a couple graphic representations of this. These are just little images we've added. You can change these. You can just use text to accomplish this. You can put it wherever you want to. We recommend that it be somewhat prominent within the email. You don't want to bury these too far deep where they have to fish for those. And basically, within the HTML, you will see somewhere down here, there are these scripts that basically manage the unsubscribe and subscribe. Now, these are very important because what we're doing is we're tethering that email being sent to a control. So if they say unsubscribe, well, there's nothing you have to do. It will send a value back to Centralpoint, attribute it to that individual user, change them from opt-in yes to opt-in no. And we like to approach that in two ways. The singular email they're receiving, they can unsubscribe to, or they might want to say, look, take me off of all of your stuff right away. And there's a couple of ways to do this. We could just have a link that takes them to a form on your site, which gives them those options, which is what you often see. We find that this is a little bit more convenient because one click of the button, boom, they're off. They don't have to do anything. So it's easier for your users to opt out. We also have options to say, what is the root URL that this thing is coming from? Do we want to send with or without data, within the email? So a lot of neat options here. So basically, this would likely require some initial setup from your production manager or your analyst. We'll set these up. We'll set up those conditions. And the reports, although I don't think I have any here, I do. The reports of each one of these emails that have gone out are tracked here. And we can track the total sent, total open, how many errors, if this was completed, yes. We can then click on that record to see more intrinsic information, who were the recipients, did they view the email, were there bounce backs, were there open, status, receipt. So as you can see, each email that's being sent, and by the way, this the reason we do this is because this email might be sent, as you see, twice in December, a few times in July, a few years ago. So we need to see the stats of each and every send that we had with that particular email. So it's not just one email and its reports in kind of a two-dimensional way. It's that email could have been reused over 7 years, sent 100 times. Each time that's sent, we need to see what the results are. And as you can imagine, because we have all of that tied to that email, we can very easily glean the reports from that. So if you ever wanted to get some fancy reports, again, we recommend you look at our data sources help file to give you more information on this. But the reports will show you, how many people opened it, or how do we cross-reference how many people received the email versus how many people took action against the email. There's some very deep kind of data mining, business intelligence we can do here. Are we trending up or trending down on our open rate, that sort of thing. Another thing I'd like to mention, rarely used, but we really think it's the future and a powerful tool, is member profiles. Now, this is a storage area for us to collect information that somebody has given us for more information. So rather than us filter, send it to men over 40 who are in marketing, we might want to give that option to the user. And we really like this because in the form that we present to them, we are going to include some questions. And the questions are basically whatever you want to ask them, which is, what kinds of things do you want? So really the perfect email personalization delivery system is this. Let your clients choose. Give them the self-service tools to say, I want only events. I only want to be updated when there's a new product released. I want those updates monthly, weekly. Here's one. I might want to be notified the minute the keyword computer or monitor, whatever the word is, they can type in certain keywords so that if there's any mention of that keyword in any content that you're releasing, they and only they will be notified. It'll say, Dear Bob, based on your alert, here's your update on that keyword. So if you think about it, that's like Google Alerts for your organization. And a lot of these tools that we bring to our clients, Centralpoint itself, I kind of liken it to Wikipedia for your entire organization, but a great kind of Wikipedia where we can filter everyone's individual role and give them their own Wikipedia. So think of it as personalized Wikipedia. When we look at email broadcast, we need to look at it from the standpoint of, what is the best and brightest solution out there, Google Alerts, because it caters to the individual needs of each person. So we need to bring that type of functionality to your user experience platform, giving you control to give the users control, so everybody's happy. And that's really what it boils down to. If you think about opt-out, there wouldn't really be an opt-out if everyone had the preferences of setting up what they wanted in the first place. Opt-out's only because we're presuming that somebody should receive a certain something at a certain frequency, and the law has literally said you can't do that. You have to give someone the ability to be removed from that. So just kind of step back and think about the users. I know we do at all times, and that's really what this platform's built around. At the same time, recognizing that you need to govern your business and communicate with them, which is the primary importance. Thank you.